this? What happened to my phone? And my iPod? What happened?
Did your iPod just get turned into a clarinet mouthpiece?
Yeah, that's what looks like happened.
And did your cell phone just turn into a pad of paper and a pencil?
Yep.
It looks like you're experiencing what life would be like without the Renaissance. You hear this weird music?
Yeah.
It's called Gregorian chant, and it's what was written in the Middle Ages. All music in the Middle Ages was written about God and Mary and all that sorts of thing. Nothing like you were listening to would actually exist, and neither would the technology.
Well, now what do I do?
Let's find out about the instruments. Hi guys. Hi. Okay, so you know we're doing this thing for history, right? And we're gonna ask you to play something that was written in the Middle Ages.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so it's in your green books. I'm gonna count you in and try your best to play it. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
That was horrible. I get in my life. This is so stupid. I couldn't even read it.
Couldn't even read it. Well, that's because before the Renaissance, the way music was written was purely in things called neumes, which is very different from the regular style. So musicians nowadays wouldn't even know how to play the music.
Oh.
Okay. So I would like you to pull out All Glory Told now. Okay?
Right on the stand.
Now basically this is going to be an experiment. We're going to find out what happens if I start cutting out all the instruments that were invented in the Renaissance or after because of the Renaissance. Okay? And we're going to hear what it sounds. Now we're going to find out what happens. Okay.
Where do we start?
What is it? 104? Yes. Okay. Start at 104, I'll count you in. Alright? 1, 2, 3, 4. Sound that good, does it?
Ew.
Well, most of these instruments that you see in concert bands and symphonic bands were actually didn't exist until the Renaissance when they were created. Because most music was written purely for religious purposes and they didn't really need it. In fact, all they had before the Renaissance were basically recorders. Good thing we had the Renaissance.
Mr. Watson, we have some questions to ask you about the Renaissance. So, Mr. Watson, what was music like in the Renaissance?
Renaissance music was, as the kids call it, whack. It was very boring, lack of color, guys dancing around with lutes, no brass instruments, which was God-given instruments to man. So I think it was kind of tapioca era of music.
Okay, so what were the dominant styles that they used in music?
Well, they liked to sing a lot. Right? The church was big on everybody singing, there weren't too many instruments around. So a lot of vocal stuff. And again, lack of sort of the bright sounds that we experience now.
All right. So are you glad the Renaissance occurred?
Oh, I'm so happy it occurred. It's changed my life.
You may think the Renaissance doesn't really matter if you don't play a musical instrument, but it does. Without it, none of the bands or artists we know and love today would exist. As we mentioned earlier, music before the Renaissance was extremely religious. It didn't account for expression of the individual and didn't usually deal with human emotions, such as anger, love, and compassion for one another. If it talked about any one of these, it was usually in reference to some biblical figure. However, when the Renaissance rolled in around 1500, people started to sing about, well, people. The free thought revolution began in this age and had a huge impact on the themes of music. Singers and musicians began developing new, brighter sounds and a variety of themes which didn't necessarily have to do with the church. Music became secular and could be sung more for fun than in earlier eras, even in public shows. Now if we continue along this trend... Without the Renaissance, music would pretty much still be sung in only a biblical manner, so any free-thinking artist today would be completely non-existent. All you'd have to listen to would be, well, that Gregorian chant from the beginning and gospel. Good thing we have the Renaissance.
In the 21st century, music is arguably the biggest media art form that expresses free thought. Without it, not a lot of things would exist today.
And as you saw in the band segment, many of the instruments that we have now would not even exist, so we would not have the same music scores as we do nowadays.
Or it wouldn't even lead to the modern instruments such as the electric guitar, the bass guitar, synthesizers, and keyboards used in rock, rap, punk, as you just saw in the other in our free thought segment, which also would lead to your favorite bands.
Ooh, good thing we have the Renaissance.
No kidding.
Are you sad about losing your cell phone and your iPod?
Yeah.
You want them back? Then learn more about the Renaissance. And check your pockets.
Yeah, I got them back.